Welcome into the Atlanta Sports Party. I'm your host, Jarvis Davis. I got my main girl, my main lady, sitting right next to me, Maria Martin. And first of all, guys, I want to start off by saying thank you for making the Atlanta Sports Party your first listen today. We're free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. I want to remind you that this episode of the Atlanta Sports Party is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We got to talk more about MGO. The fast-paced game lets you team up with your friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes. So download Monopoly Go for free on Google Play or the App Store. Coming up on today's show, the Fantastic Four finally came through. And in around the Metro, Trey Young may have asked out in the most passive-aggressive way. But first, we got to start off, Maria, by talking about the Falcons. That we know that they're now 1 week removed from the Atlanta Falcons taking the eighth Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th overall pick. There seems to be a portion of the fan base that still quite haven't come to grips with it, but I feel like I've kind of come to grips with it in my mind. Kind of have some justifications going on. But what say you? Where are you with it now? Now that we're a week removed from it.
I think that now that everyone's had a little bit of time to calm down, to digest what happened, to think about it, to listen to the explanations as to why they picked, because obviously we've heard from Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, Kyle Smith, and I think all of the explanations kind of have helped me grow to, I don't want to say love the pick, but like what they did at 8. And especially if this works out, they're going to be some of the smartest people in the league. And Kyle Smith was talking on Monday, the assistant general manager for the Falcons, and he kept saying, I don't think this has ever been done before. And he's correct. There's never been a team to spend the amount of money that they did on Kirk Cousins and then a little over 40 days later use their first round pick on a quarterback. That has never been done before. It's a little unorthodox in the way that they did it, but I kind of understand the mindset a little bit more. And who really knows what happens with Kirk, right? We're all concerned about his age, his injury history is not the best either. You've talked about that in the past before. So let's say he is injured and he goes out and you have a quarterback who I firmly believe, regardless of if I initially believed in them picking him or not, he was a first round pick this year. It also tells you their belief in Michael specifically and what they think about the quarterback class next year. So they were very, very adamant about Michael because he's just that good and he deserved to be the 8th overall pick in that scenario. So, obviously the plan was to move back up into the first round. They've talked about that at length. They were going to try to get a defender there. That didn't work. I think people might have been a little bit more excited if that were to have happened. But look, it's the NFL draft. Things fall apart, things happen. But at the end of the day, they addressed something that in their mind was one of the biggest kryptonites for the Falcons, this quarterback carousel that we've been talking about ever since Matt Ryan left. There was no heir to Matt Ryan. There was no secondary quarterback to come in and take over. So they seem to have fixed that problem. I thoroughly enjoy Michael Penix Jr. as a quarterback. I think he's so good. And I'm excited if he can stay healthy too, because remember, his injury history is very lengthy.
Sure.
So if he can stay healthy, I think that this is a very nice setup for the Falcons.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point as far as because I thought Kyle Smith said something that really kind of sparked something in me. He said that this is part of a 5-year plan. He's like 5 years from now we should be good, and I thought it kind of made sense, right? Because I know that I like the player. I've said that from the get-go. I even said it coming into the draft. I really like Michael Penix and what he brings to the table, and I feel like he has the potential to be a guy that can stick around for about 10 years or so, right? And make a lot of money in today's NFL. So I don't have an issue with it from that standpoint, but it's a lot of people hung up on the whole $100 million in guaranteed money that you threw at Kirk Cousins. And if we're saying that, hypothetically speaking, like you said, if we're saying that there is a potential that Kirk Cousins can get injured, like, what's the backup plan? Taylor Heineke?
Correct.
You'll be okay with that? Like, I want to still have hope if that happens, because in today's age where the quarterbacks have to come in once they're drafted and play right away, even if they aren't ready. We saw how that worked out for the Falcons last year with Desmond Ridder at the helm, and we were kind of fascinated by the last 4 games of the season prior to. So I think that we just understand that going back to the old school way, but this is how it used to be. I won't say it's unconventional because this is how it used to be. They used to
Yeah.
bring draft quarterbacks in, let them sit for a year or two while you had a veteran or whoever was in that chair before they drafted that player, and they kind of sat and learned, and I think that is something that should be mimicked. They invoked the Green Bay Packers way, right? Or I guess that's their way because they've had a settled quarterback for 30 years.
Yeah, it's a
So
little different,
I'm
yeah.
cool with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm cool with that route. So I think, overall, I feel like there's something there with a guy like Michael Penix but taking with the 8th overall pick, when people were saying that he could potentially slide to the 2nd round, I totally get that. That's where
I
I
don't
was
think he
with.
would have been there at the 2nd round, though. I
No,
don't
no,
think
no.
there's any way he would have been there at the 2nd round.
Agreed. Late first, like realistically, late first.
Yeah.
But I feel like there were a couple people. How there's all your detractors coming into the draft, like, oh yeah, he's a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
No, calm down. He's one of the
He's a
best
1st round
guys.
pick, yeah.
But before four season-ending injuries in 4 years, yeah, that's probably why you were saying he would slide down there. If not, we talking about a guy that could potentially would have been a legit top 5 pick if that wasn't the case. But I think that Kyle Smith said something that was definitely a little bit interesting to me as well, and it got me to thinking, like, the Falcons really, since Terry Fontenot haven't come in, there hasn't been a quarterback prospect that really has tickled their fancy, right?
Yeah, that's a good
At
point.
least, right, like in the 1st round. So I feel like from that standpoint, if we're judging general managers by what they do with the quarterback position, I feel like if Terry Fontenot said, you know what, this is the guy, I feel like this is the guy. I don't care who they would have had at doggone quarterback, because I want to see a general manager earn their money. I've mentioned on football previous shows how Thomas Dimitroff got a lot of job security because he brought in Matt Ryan. However you feel about Thomas Dimitroff and line of scrimmage and all that stuff, he has done. He drafted the face of the franchise, so he was able to stick around for quite some time because of that. So I feel like Terry Fontenot, for the most part, he finally saw a quarterback, said that to himself, like, this is the guy that I really, really like. So we're gonna go for it.
Yeah, Kyle admitted that. I mean, that's such a good point. Kyle talked about that was the first time since 21 that they were sitting there and they saw a quarterback that they believed in enough to take. And that should tell you everything you need to know. He also kept reiterating the fact that we wouldn't have paid Kirk Cousins $100 million in guaranteed money if he wasn't our QB1. He's not looking over his shoulder, which, granted, I think the communication or lack thereof with Kirk Cousins probably should have been handled a little bit differently. However, he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. It is his job. You don't pay somebody $100 million in guaranteed money for it not to be your job. It is just a little bit different in the timing. But again, it was just the way that it fell. That's what happens with the draft sometimes. When things fall a certain way and you have a quarterback that you believe in so highly, and the first time since you guys have been in charge that you see this quarterback, you got to take him. The fact that this position, and Kyle Smith kept saying, he says it's the most important position in sports. He said that like 5 times on Monday. So that tells you that that's where the league is thinking. And hello, there's 6 quarterbacks, in the first 12 picks of this draft. There is a high premium on quarterbacks, and the good ones go, and you've got to get them where you can. And that's kind of where they were mentally. I have a guaranteed 1st round pick this year. I need to use it on a position that we have really had a lot of trouble with in the last 4 seasons. Ever since Matt Ryan left, we haven't really known what's going on. Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke showed up. There has just been this constant wheel of quarterbacks that don't make sense for this team. And hopefully Penix does. What'd you say?
I said spin the wheel of random quarterback trying to revive their career. Like, I don't want to be that place. Hey, you can go to Atlanta and revive your career. No, I want to be the guy to come in and groom somebody, believe in somebody, draft him, groom him, and hopefully he'll be here for the next 10 years. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and look, it's a double-edged sword because I'm sure Kirk Cousins and some of the veterans are thinking, "Hello, we need someone to help us right now, not someone that's going to sit here." And so I understand that aspect of it. But I also do get the side of drafting Penix in this scenario, and it's grown on me a ton. Initially, it's crazy. I've told this story a couple times this week. 10 minutes before the draft even started, because I was up there in Detroit, I had a good friend of mine walk over to me who works for ESPN and said, "Hey, I need you to start preparing for the Falcons to take a quarterback here." And I said, "What are you like? No, you're crazy. What are you talking
Right,
about?"
right,
And
yeah,
he was like, "And it's going to be Michael Penix Jr." And I said, "You are out of your mind." Nope.
right,
He was right. And as soon as the pick happened, I was a little less shocked than everybody else in the room. There was like an audible shriek in the room in Detroit. But I had heard it, so it didn't sound as foreign to me, but I had
right.
heard it 10 minutes prior. So it was just it's still a little bit shocking, but I think it's grown on me a ton.
For sure. Yeah. And I know, I posted a video on, I posted a video and on my instant reaction, like right after the thing. And I was just like, wow. And my wife heard me. She was like, "Are you okay?" I've been hurt. I heard you about 15 minutes ago. Sounded like something was going wrong. Like, yeah, it potentially, yeah, in my head, it was.
Kyle Pitts was actually on a live stream with a show, and I don't know what show it was. Yes, which was like very
Yeah.
risky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he was on. I forget which show it was, but if you look it up, you'll be able to see it
Yeah.
and go back and watch his reaction. It's funny because I feel like he's just trying to like hold it back a little bit. They tell him they say with the eighth overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Penix Jr. and Kyle just goes, "Ooh!" And all he said
That
was,
ooh can mean a lot of things.
right, right, right. And he did say he was like, "Oh, I know he can sling it," which is true. And
Yeah, for sure.
Michael's so great, and he's an accurate left-handed quarterback, which is a fantastic thing to have. So I think Falcons fans should be excited. It's again a little different than probably anyone would have thought or hoped for. Everyone was hoping defense, and they even allegedly were trying to get up and go to Leatu Latu. That would have been cool, but look, it didn't happen. So they're gonna have to find defenders in other ways. So we'll see.
We will definitely see. Also, what we saw last night that the Braves avoided the sweep, and it was because of the Fantastic Four. I'll tell you who those people are. We'll continue on the other side. This episode of the Atlanta Sports Party is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. I'm telling you guys, the Hawks aren't in the playoffs, and we don't have a hockey team. So guess what? I know you're interested in the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. It's coming up soon. I'm telling you, you need to check it out because Ant-Man is about to get ready to take over the NBA. So right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Yes, you heard that correctly. You can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's 150 bucks to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and much, much more. I'm telling you guys, this app is super safe, super secure, and easy to use. And plus, you get 150 bucks right now. I'm telling you, go do it right now. All you gotta do is drop $5 on there. So visit fanduel.com/locked on. FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on, LOCKEDON, and make every playoff shot count because FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. It is the Atlanta Sports Party. I am Jarvis Davis. I got my girl with me, 11 Live Zone, Maria Martin, and the Atlanta Sports Party is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We got Atlanta Sports right here just for you. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button for me. I really would appreciate that from you in advance. Now, the Atlanta Braves avoided the sweep against the Seattle Mariners and got the win 5-2. We had a couple of conversations, Maria, on this show and on the Atlanta baseball party about how the top of that lineup, right? It had been struggling. Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, all the not Ozzie Albies, but just being a part of
Yeah.
that area. You think about it, it's just been interesting to watch because Ronald Acuna specifically is one who I've been concerned about the most because his strikeout rate is alarming. He is striking out at a big, big, big rate right now, and I think that's one of the things that I've been really concerned about. But last night, the top four they combined for 6 hits and they got all of the hits last night and were able to, score 5 runs, which they haven't done in quite some time. And when you think about that, how good was it to see those specifically those 4 guys get it going last night and get the dub?
I think it's great. I also think that it's important to remember, and everybody knows that slumps happen in baseball.
Yeah.
Theirs is probably a little bit longer than I would have anticipated those 4 guys to be hitting at the rate that they are, or lack thereof. But it was nice because this is a team that's so good that even when the top of their lineup is struggling, the rest of the team, it's not a domino effect, which is very untraditional in baseball. Typically, when the top of your lineup isn't hitting well, the rest of your lineup can't really string it together either. And it's just this huge domino effect. Well, the Braves are good enough to where that doesn't happen. So that's nice and that's reassuring because the top of the lineup doesn't need to hit, over 300 for everybody to do well. However, it has been very concerning. So it is nice, especially because the Mariners, I don't know what happened to the Braves. It's been a really tricky series. Thank goodness they didn't get swept in the final game of the series. But yeah, I mean, they were a couple swings away really from beating them each of the first 2 games. That didn't happen. So nice to see them break through. It's important to do that right before LA because the Dodgers Braves matchup is always something that is very fun to watch and very annoying for everyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, one of the reasons why I feel like, those guys have been quote unquote allowed to struggle, to start the season. You had a guy like Marcell Ozuna who just been killing it,
Which
and
was
then Travis d'Arnaud was on a ridiculous tear hitting the
yeah,
ball out of the yard. So when you have that depth in the lineup, once again, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I know people get tired of me saying this stuff on this podcast. And when I'm talking about Alex Anthopoulos, yes, he built this doggone roster and it's built to last. And when you have depth up and down through that lineup, any guy can take you out. Orlando Arcia as well. He's a guy that I was just looking at him last night, Maria, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, they went with him when everybody and their mama was trying to say Vaughn Grissom should be that guy,
seriously.
right? He should be
Yeah.
the guy to come in. It's time for him to go. And they just got him at such a great price, which is so typical Alex Anthopoulos. So
The Braves tend to do that too.
yes, yeah, and it's just wow. Sometimes I wonder whether or not he has a choice to do it that way, but like he's really really good at it. So
Yeah.
so I think that one of those things when you look at it from that standpoint, it just makes me think that they're built for these type of struggles, and I really feel like going forward, this is something that you won't have to worry about. Over the course of a 162 game season, I don't think this is going to be. And they're still sitting here at the top of the division, winning 20 games, and we're 2 days into the month of May. So I'm not too concerned here. Another concern where I've gotten upset, Maria. I don't know if you noticed, like I'm fumbling on my words because I'm angry. I'm really mad right now because for those of you who don't know, been hiding up under a rock. Xfinity/Comcast. I don't know which one to call them.
I
That's
think
my
they're
cable.
both. Yeah.
Right. I was just like, all right, Xfinity, Comcast. I don't know,
I
whatever.
don't know
So
because I don't have it, so I don't know.
yeah, I have it, and I was very
Very
upset.
mad.
So and the Diamond Sports Group, they couldn't figure out a way to get through a season without parting ways and leaving Braves fans out in the cold. Like I don't know, your situation of what cable provider you have, but I know once I saw that my wife turned to the channel, the following day. I had saw it like in the middle of the night, and I was just like, "Is this real?" I
Yeah.
couldn't even believe it was real. And then Grant had tweeted it out on his Twitter as well, and I was just like, "What is going on?"
I'm pretty sure
Like,
it stopped in the middle of the Mariners game, right?
yeah, I believe so. And it was just, I was like, "Are y'all serious right now? Like,
Yeah.
is this a situation where you feel like Major League Baseball, who's been trying to be indifferent about this situation, given the whole bankruptcy trial and everything like that, and they're waiting to confirm that potentially in June next month, actually. So I really feel like this is a situation where it seems like the fans are just you're on your own and figure it out, and that sucks
Yeah, and I don't think that's gonna go over well, especially with Braves country. This
for
is
sure.
a very unique fan base in the sense that it is a region. It's not just, one area like the Pittsburgh Pirates, for example. Most of Pittsburgh and some of the surrounding areas are Pittsburgh Pirates fans. Braves fans are all throughout the South. So regionally, taking that away from an entire fan base who is large reaching is not great. And remember, this is a team who in the 90s was on national television. So taking this away, just the regional aspect, is I think that it's going to force Major League Baseball to do something. It's the best team in baseball. It's one of the teams with the largest fan base, one of the largest fan bases. They're going to have to figure something out. And I think it's ridiculous that in this day and age, we can't figure something out, especially in the middle of baseball season. What are we doing? I mean, they are on a run, and Braves fans are going to want to watch it. And I've already seen people very upset, tweeting at Bally, which Bally doesn't really have a ton of control over it in this moment, as far as I understand. But some of these negotiations can take a long time. And I actually don't think that this one's going to be resolved very quickly. I think this is going to take some time. So if you're annoyed now and you're mad now, you're going to stay mad, because it's hard to watch the Braves right now. You have to watch them on like Fubo TV or whatever it's called. I don't even know what that is.
Well, Maria,
What is
me,
that?
sometimes I look for other options, and some may call it illegal, some may call it resourceful. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I had to watch the game yesterday. I was like, come on. Like, I'm not about to go out and try to figure out a whole nother cable provider, in the middle of the season. First of all, my wife is going to be looking at me crazy if she can't watch HGTV, because that's all she watches. Don't tell me how I know that. I'm just like, she watches a lot of HGTV. So yeah, I'm talking about family discussions on how we're going to figure out what cable provider to go to next. So yeah, Major League Baseball, I need y'all to get involved. I don't care about this whole legalities and bankruptcies and all. I don't care about none of that. I need to be able to see my Braves. And if you don't want me up here, getting the VPN and doggone finding this little website that ends in TOEOI, I need y'all to hurry up and do something.
I have YouTube TV, so I haven't had Bally for a while. I've had to watch it through avenues at work, which is annoying. And I got YouTube TV because I used to have Bally, MLB Network. I used to have everything.
So
and then even YouTube TV started plucking all these things. I'm like, can we just have one provider that's got everything, please?
And stop being so doggone greedy. Goodness gracious.
We already pay enough for everything in life right now. Like, I'm fired up. I'm moving the mic around.
Right.
So annoying.
Y'all got Maria fired up over here. I hope you guys are loving that, because I love a fired up Maria. I hope you love a fired up Atlanta Sports Party, because that's what we are, guys. We will continue in the around the metro. Trey Young out here said what? This episode of Atlanta Sports Party is brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, y'all. I have to take a second, breathe, and talk about Monopoly Go, because you talking about nostalgia. Monopoly brings that to you. I'm telling you, this is the game you need to go check out. It's on the App Store and Google Play, so you don't have to worry about anything. It's right there on your phone. So go there right now. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. I'm telling you, go there right now. You have unique stickers, and you can trade with friends for complete albums for big, big prizes. That's what I'm all about. I'm a big man, and I like big prizes. So plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. So here's what I want you to do. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Wrapping things up on the Atlanta Sports Party, it is the Around the Metro. What is Around the Metro, Jarvis and Maria? Around the Metro is where we go around the Metro. We talk about stuff going on in the city of Atlanta. You never know what we may be talking about. We may be talking about the Atlanta United. We may be talking about the Atlanta Braves. We may be talking about the Atlanta Hawks. Today, that's what we're talking about, the Atlanta Hawks. So, Maria, and for those you don't know, Trey Young has what it's called From the Point podcast.
Yep.
Interesting enough, right? Interesting name. Put a little thought into that, I guess. I want to read to you a quote.
Okay.
That came from the man himself, Trey Young.
Okay.
And I want to get your reaction as soon as I finish reading this quote, because this is kind of how it works on this thing. Everybody knows, like, obviously, I want to be in Atlanta. When I was drafted, that's where I wanted to spend my whole career. But at the same time, I want to win. So if we're not on the same page and all, I want to win right now. I mean, there's times teams want to take their time and be slow with the winning process, and it's just like I'm not there anymore. Like I want to win, and I've always been that way. I don't feel like I have very much time to waste, and so I just want to continue to play at a high level, and I feel like I can do that and play at a high level and win. Did Trey Young just ask out of Atlanta?
I think it's a balance between asking out of Atlanta and begging this ownership to actually do something that fixes this team.
Right.
He's becoming impatient. In all fairness, he should.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's more directed at ownership because we haven't seen them do a lot aside from DeJounte Murray to actually try to. We've talked about this so much for them to try to put one of their feet in front of the other towards a team that can actually consistently win. What have they done that really makes us believe that they are all in? Aside from the DeJounte Murray trade, we haven't seen a whole lot from them. So I think from him, yes, he's saying he wants to win now, and like he's always said that. Nothing is new. But it's also I'm getting annoyed because we are not winning and we are consistently a play-in team and y'all aren't doing anything about it. So I think it is a low-key cry for help to management that if y'all don't figure this out, I am going to go and try to win somewhere else. That's what I think.
You know what, Maria? I agree with you, and I even take it a step further. I
Okay.
think this is a shot at management because he doesn't
Probably.
believe that they can make the right move to get it done. And I'm all in on that one. I don't have no trust in Landry Fields to make the right decision for this, so
Yeah.
this roster can figure out a way to win some doggone games and get out of this play-in mediocrity that they have been in for the past few years. So, but I also put it on. And I'll add to that too. When he said, I wanna be in Atlanta, but I wanna win. Those two can't go together.
Correct.
He
Unless some
said that.
serious
He's
moves
been
are made. That's
consistent.
what I'm saying. That's why
Yeah.
I don't think he's like, "Hey, I've never said I don't want to be here," which is true. He's never
Right.
said that. But at the same time, he's always said that he wants to win. To your point, Atlanta and winning, they don't go together. So it's either, "Hey, you do something to fix this situation because I want to be here. I'm telling you, I want to be here. However, I'm not afraid to go somewhere else if you don't make it more viable for me to win here." That's what I think he's saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like the
Can't say I
conundrum
blame him,
because
honestly.
so when I'm
I can't say I blame him.
yeah, I'm with him because it what been 6 years and you've done nothing
Long
but
time.
tumble and go down ever since that we had that peak of the Eastern Conference Finals. And you know, what if he doesn't doggone step on that referee's foot and
Right.
referee still being in the way? You know, what could happen potentially? You know, they probably could have been in the final, maybe, possibly, but
Maybe. Sure.
it's like that's the whole city of Atlanta as a whole. What if? What if they didn't
Yeah.
allow the New England Patriots to come back from 28-3? Will we be sitting here talking about Michael Penix? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We were like, yeah, we're so happy because Matt Ryan won that Super Bowl in 2016. We don't care who y'all drafted quarterback. We got our Super Bowl. We cool. You know, but with Atlanta sports teams, like Alex Anthopoulos is the only general manager that I wholeheartedly trust to make the right move to be
That's
able
fair.
to, and I'm trying to get on Terry Fontenot's wagon, but it seems to kind of take off on me every time I kind of catch up to it. I'm just like,
Until they make the playoffs, there is no reason to fully hitch your wagon to anybody. And I think that that's fair. It's valid concerns. And, we talk about what if, I think Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer, but a lot of people, if he doesn't get in, are going to say, what if he won the Super Bowl? That's the one thing that's the caveat for him and what a lot of people think will keep him out. But, I think he's a Hall of Famer, so I really do hope he gets in. But I don't think that's unfair at all. You have to win in order to be believed in. And look at what the Hawks are doing. And Trae is literally screaming for help now. It's not, hey, like maybe let's fix this. It's, hey, fix this right now, or I'm going to go somewhere else.
he literally tried to make something work that wasn't going to work from the get-go
Mhm.
when they traded for DeJounte Murray. Like,
Yep.
yeah, we can figure it out. No, it's not working. And something has to change. And it's unfortunate because I like Trey. I know people,
I do too.
he might not be a lot of people cup of tea, and then, being saying, hey, I want to be in Atlanta, but I want to win. I was like,
Sorry,
golly,
that's how
man.
the league works. That's how professional sports works.
Yeah, like so and he's
I'm
been
okay with
consistent
that.
with it. I can appreciate your consistency, right? But I feel like ultimately what Landry Fields is gonna have to decide is to, whether or not if you're trying to go young and trying to build it like OKC, which would be very interesting if they were to do that, or you're gonna say, you know what? Hey, Mr. Wrestler, hey, big head, do you feel like putting a couple aprons on, and going to the luxury tax? And let's see if we can get somebody like
Yeah.
who can make this work, So, and I think that the latter ain't happening. I'd be shocked. I'd be very shocked if it were to happen. So it's almost kind of like he in a conundrum. Like, okay, what do I do? Who do I trade? Which guy do I trade? Do I trade both of those guys? And Lord knows if that were to happen,
Oof.
this city of Atlanta is probably going to be done.
Could you imagine if I mean, I guess I could imagine because it's very possible.
Yeah.
It is very possible that we're talking about a Trae Youngless and DeJounte Murrayless team next year.
Gosh,
I really hope that doesn't happen, but it's
that'd be
possible.
awful.
No, I mean, I think that fans would lose all hope in this franchise if that happens. So
Yeah, yeah, and of course, where they talk about, CEOs, Steve Cooney and all that, they love, hey, those full packed out houses. It's the reason why the house is packed out. They want to see Mr. Young. He's a very exciting player to watch. So,
yeah,
but Mr. Young but he wants to win. So we'll see if they'll be able to answer that, change that statement for him. And by the look on your face, it looks like it's probably not going to happen.
I don't see it happening. But you know what? I really hope for the sake of everybody and for Trae, because Trae puts butts in seats, and
Absolutely.
whether you want to say that you don't like him or not, or he's not even really that polarizing of a player, just maybe for people that are on other teams, I guess maybe people that are fans of other teams.
Yeah.
And Trae's grown up a ton, so I really enjoy Trae now. And again, I think he puts butts in seats, and him out of the building is no bueno. It would not be good for this franchise.
No, it would definitely be no bueno. Man, I don't want to see Trey go, but
I don't either, but it is very
yeah,
much a reality. So
it
it's a
is reality.
possibility, not a reality. It's a possibility.
It is a possibility, and we thank you guys for making Atlanta Sports Party your first listen today. Remember we're free and available wherever you download your podcast, and wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. If you haven't subscribed or liked our YouTube channel, what the heck are you waiting on? We great over here. Come on now, join the party, and go and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure you hit that bell so whenever we drop a new pod, you'll get that notification. I promise you, you're going to love it. We will thank you guys. And also, we will see you guys on Monday for another party, the Atlanta Football Party, Falcons edition.